Okay, welcome everyone to the first ever Loft 180 Town Hall meeting. And this is a post recording, so if you missed out on Sunday and weren't able to make it, now you can catch up, see what's going on, and just learn about the history of Loft 180, learn about the struggles it's having, and where we can go from here. So, let's get started. It's really, the history here is two different histories that collided together. The first history is my history. I grew up as a teen. I got bullied, shoved into lockers. I had extreme headaches that would last days on end, and that led to depression, thoughts of suicide. I struggled with a lot of pressure from my family to do well in school. And one of the things that really helped me make it through school was a place called Youth for Christ in Redwood Falls, which was basically a youth center there. And we go there on Wednesday nights and have a Bible study and sing songs and learn about God and just have a fun time. And as I grew older, I eventually became an adult volunteer there. Loved it so much that I decided that that's really what I want to do the rest of my life, is work with teenagers and just walk alongside them through whatever they're struggling with and give them hope and just point them to Jesus as we're walking side by side. And so the next history is the history of Loft 180 itself. It started out as the alternative of Marshall. There was a group of students back in 2008 that got together and said, hey, we'd like a place of our own where we could just hang out and it could be Christ-centered. And so they found Sharon Shell, and Sharon took them under her wing, and they got the place started, got the alternative incorporated, and from 2008 to 2016 it moved along as a youth center in town here. And it was about 2014 or 15 I came along, and I come up there to the alternative, and there's worship going on, there's a Bible study, and I'm loving it, but I don't see a lot of teenagers, so I was a bit confused. I'm like, what's this youth center doing if there's no teens up here? And so we brainstormed and we came up with some ideas on how to get teenagers in the door, but nothing happened, nothing changed. Attendance was still very small, and so we had a come to Jesus meeting. Can we can't keep doing this, so we need to either close it or something's got to change. And I felt God pulling at my heart to just to step up to the plate and take over leadership of it and get teenagers in the door and make it a great place to be, kind of like when I was a kid at Youth for Christ. So in 2016, took over, gave the place a new name, a new logo, just wanted to give it a fresh start, and I really felt God calling me to do this. And so it's had the history, it's been, it's gone through a couple different seasons. We started out with the worship and Bible study as usual, and but after a while, we still weren't getting a lot of kids in, but we were getting a lot of young adults, and so there was this youth ministry for young adults happening here. And then eventually, some of those young adults moved on, and some I was able to use as volunteers to work with teens, and we got a whole group of teens in, and they were inviting their friends, and then we slowly phased out the worship music and Bible study as we lost musicians. And here we are today as a Treehouse partner. Now, if you don't know what Treehouse is, it's a ministry that's up in the cities. They've got like 8 or 9 locations, and they partner with other organizations and churches and ministries around Minnesota and the area. and their vision is right in line with the vision of Loft 180, and that's seeing at-risk or troubled youth find hope and healing through the love of Christ, and just providing a safe place for teens to be. So it just made absolute sense to partner with them, and since partnering with them, I've got training on how to work with youth through their organization. We've got tools and resources that we can use to do curriculum with the kids, to do support group, and to train any volunteers that come on board. I have a person that I talk with on a regular basis who just makes sure that keeps me a little bit accountable and makes sure that I'm doing the right things and that I'm adhering to the treehouse standards. So that's been a really great deal for us. Moving on, we have two problems, and the first problem is financial instability. Now that I've lost my job, and we've lost a couple supporters, it's a struggle. So I can't continue to keep just putting all my own money into it. We need to find other people to support the ministry. And the second one is a volunteer shortage. I can't do everything. We've got I got a couple great volunteers that are really dedicated, but there's so many other volunteer positions that haven't been filled yet over the years, and we really need more, considering the number of students that are coming. So these two problems are connected and inseparable. Without the volunteers, it's going to be hard to make the connections. It's going to be hard to network. It's going to be hard to reach out to the community, to the business leaders, the public service, the schools, the churches, and to get those connections so that we can get the donations we need and find more volunteers. And without the finances, we're going to dry up, and the ministry is not going to be anymore because we just can't fund it. And so if we can't fund it, then we got we don't have any reason for volunteers. So these problems have existed since the beginning. We have our ups and downs, and right now we're on one of those down times, and so I'd like to get to a point of stability. So problem number one, I don't know how many times I've been driving along and I look at my gas tank and I go, oh shoot, I'm on E. How'd I get there? Yesterday I was at half full. This is strange. And that's kind of what happened with our finances. We made it through the winter. We were doing well, and then all of a sudden, boom, there goes the tank, drop down to E, and now we're struggling to find a gas station per se. So, what kind of financial trouble are we in? Well, here, let's break it down. We have $800 a month for building costs. So $400 is rent, and $300 is utilities, and another $100 for miscellaneous things like insurance and internet and whatever else we may need. So then we have $200 a month for program expenses. These things are like gas money to get kids to and from Loft 180, curriculum items that we need for teaching the students on our Friday nights, paper, ink, props, whatnot, prizes, so we can give things away to students who are doing good things or who win games or win competitions, and also, not to mention, just so we can express our thanks to the volunteers, and give them things like cards or gift cards, or take them out to eat, so that our volunteers feel appreciated and they don't. So yeah. Then we have $400 a month for Treehouse. So to be a Treehouse partner, we have to pay $400 a month. For the moment, we're okay on this. I got a grant through Southwest Initiative Foundation, and that covers us until the end of the year. So that's good, but eventually that's going to run out and we're going to need more. Then the last item is $2,000 or more a month for Caleb's wages. So that's my wages. That's a long-term goal. That's to line up with the passion that I have. I want to do this for a living. I don't want to just do this as a hobby or as a side thing. And if I'm getting paid full-time to do it, I can put more time and energy into it and make it more successful. So minimum we need 800 to keep going, and ideally we'd like 3,400 a month. So the question is, can we reach a state of financial stability, and is that obtainable? Because without stability in the finances, I'm just going to continue to get stressed out and burnt out over everything, and so there needs to be some stability there. Alright, problem number 2. Not enough volunteers. I equate this to driving a car with a spare tire. Yeah, it works. It'll get you from point A to point B, but you don't have as much tread, you don't have as much surface area. So doing any quick maneuvers, the car's not going to handle as well. If you try to go too fast, you're going to burn the rubber out and blow the tire. And yeah, sure, you can try to fix it, put a dolly underneath of it or a truck and try to get along, but it's not sustainable. So what do we need for volunteers? 6 to 8 volunteers for our Friday nights and events, with 20 to 40 students coming on a Friday. To get the ratio right of adults per student, ideally we'd like 6 to 8, and preferably trained. And these volunteers will help everything from mentoring kids to giving them rides, to checking them in at the front door, crowd control, and helping sell snacks and candy at the Pulse. And then we have our support groups. So Thursdays we've been meeting for support group. Support group consists of about 8 kids on average, and that's the golden number there, is 8 per group. Right now I'm the only one trying to do support groups, so we can only do one support group, and that's a bit of a struggle. So it would be nice to have at least 2 or 3 others trained so that we could have multiple support groups going on, and that way we can do things like split up siblings between groups, or split up those kids that don't get along very well into different groups, and we can serve more kids in that capacity. Next item, 3 to 5 dream team members, or aka board members, director, president, secretary, treasurer, etc. A lot of organizations or businesses will look, and they want to know who's on your dream team. Do you have a dream team? And if you don't have that, and you don't have good reputable people on your team, they don't necessarily want to support you. So we really need to build that up and find people that can fill those roles. And then we need 2 to 3 network builders, people that are going to champion Loft 180 in the community. They're going to go out and speak in front of churches. They're going to go talk to business owners and school people who work in the school and in public service, and just really get the word out. And there are people that would help with fundraising and coordinating fundraisers and things like that to help raise money and connect people. So, and second to last here is prayer warriors. When you're doing ministry, Satan wants to attack you from every side. He wants to tear you down. He doesn't want you to win. He doesn't want to see the lives of these kids saved. I mean, that's ultimately what we're doing, is saving the lives of these kids. And so he's going to attack from every angle, and we need lots and lots of people praying over the ministry to keep Satan at bay. And last but not least is an accountability partner, and that's for me, keep me on track, make sure I'm not doing anything stupid, and make sure that I'm not getting burnt out. So there can be some overlap in all these positions. So one person could be doing multiple of these, but with the three of us that are really dedicated, that's what's happening for the most part. We're doing all six or close to all six of these positions, and that's not healthy either. So minimum volunteers needed is about 15. That's what I figure. So 15 between all six positions. If we had that a number, we could run smoothly, at least in the short term, until Loft 180 grows more. But ideally, to be doing ministry well and to be doing lots of ministry at Loft 180, we'd want 24 to 28 adult volunteers. So moving forward, what are some solutions? So there's three ways out of these two problems that I can see, and I like permanent fixes. So these are the three permanent fixes, not the three temporary fixes. Screws, bolts, and nuts, whatever the heck's on that permanent fix roll. I'd rather not use duct tape and try to just hold things together or do things the old-fashioned way like the Flintstones car that doesn't need gas to go. Yes, God can get the glory in our brokenness, and He can use that, but God also gets glory in us doing ministry well. And so I want to do ministry well and not do it with a bunch of temporary fixes and having everything taped together. So the first solution here is raise the money and find more volunteers. So this is what I've been trying to do for the last 3 years, and maybe not doing the best job at it, and that's why I'm reaching out for help here. So if we can find the money and get it to come in on a regular basis in a steady flow, where we're not struggling, or raise it all in one shot so that we're good for a year and then do another fundraiser next year kind of thing, great. And find more volunteers. It seems like everybody I talk to is too busy to volunteer at Loft 180, or maybe they got a history and their history doesn't allow them to volunteer, or maybe they just have no interest in working with teenagers, or they don't feel like they have any passion for helping teenagers. So finding those that are passionate, finding those that have the time and are willing to give their time is really key. Second solution is moving to a new location, which lowers the overhead. So places like a school or a church, if we can partner with the school or the church, that takes away the overhead. That $800 a month that we need, that pretty much eliminates that. And it would also potentially give Loft 180 more visibility, and give us another outlet or avenue for recruiting volunteers and finding more supporters with that partnership. So this is something that's done in a lot of tree houses. A lot of the ones I visited were actually inside of a church. Usually they're very big churches that have gymnasiums and have a large youth room and a rec room and classrooms that can be used for small group. So this is a pretty common thing for tree houses to do. And so this is definitely not far out of the park. If we can find a church or if we can have some space at the school to do the treehouse programs and then just eliminate the Loft 180 building, we could easily keep moving forward without the stress of the finances, and probably be able to recruit volunteers easier. Third option, it's not pretty, it doesn't look very good, and nobody really wants this to happen, but it is a solution. and that is to close Loft 180. It gets rid of the need for the money, and it gets rid of the need for volunteers. What it doesn't do necessarily is take care of the needs of the teens. Me and the other volunteers, we can go do ministry in another way, in another fashion, and work with teens, just not at Loft 180. And so that need that the teens need can still be met, just not in the same fashion or form, and maybe not as effectively or have as big of an impact. So nobody wants to see that happen, but I'm willing to move that route if that's where God's moving us. If this season of Loft 180 is over, but well, I have to see what you guys think. I'm around to answer any questions, to talk about it. I'd love to hear what your thoughts, your ideas are. If you can help out in any way, if you can donate in any way, if you know people that are passionate about youth and serving youth and want to see those at risk or troubled teens grow and have a safe place where they can be, if you can find those people that are willing to volunteer or donate in any capacity whatsoever, I'd love those contacts. I'd love to go out to coffee with them or you and just really talk about this. So yeah, we'll signing out, and we'll see you on the flip side.